Ayn Rand sucks. You shouldn't respect her. Let me tell you why. Buckle up. I read her book, The Virtue of Selfishness. This was obviously a hate read for me, as someone who thinks objectivism is the purest, undistilled horseshit. Forcing myself to get through even this slim 168-page volume was torture. The virtue of selfishness waited on my nightstand like a flaming bag of dog mess to be stomped every morning. I wouldn't read this book again if I was stranded on a desert island for the rest of my life, and this was my only reading material. Objectivism pretended to be something new. Rand obviously intended the moral purpose of a man's life is the achievement of his own happiness, to be outre and scandalous. Squares like us are supposed to be startled. How could she say such a thing? What Rand offers is an inversion of the golden rule. Instead of love your neighbor as yourself, Rand instructs us to cut the middleman and just love yourself instead. To Rand, altruism is evil, and selfishness should be rewarded. A Medal of Honor winner who sacrificed his own life to save his platoon, that's my example, shouldn't be honored, but criticized. According to Rand, any such extravagant displays of self-sacrifice show only a lack of self-esteem, diminished respect for others, and proof of a tragic indifference to ethics. To Ayn Rand, Jesus Christ, held up by religious doctrine as sacrificing his life for the souls of everyone else, would be the ultimate sucker. It takes a lot of mental gymnastics to turn everything upside down and inside out in an effort to create a whole new morality for mankind. Up is down and black is white. Rand says that love is a selfish value, the recognition of seeing one's values in another, and that selfless love is a contradiction in terms. Helping others and the relief of suffering should never be one's primary concern. Any help one gives to another should be an act of generosity, never a moral duty. Rand writes, if one wishes to advocate a free society, that is, capitalism, showing that to her they are the same thing. In fact, the terms are completely interchangeable. Objectivism and capitalism go hand in hand. The implication of this book is that society would be better if we adopted objectivist philosophy, though Rand rarely says so explicitly. She constructs grand straw men to prove that uncontrolled, unregulated, laissez-faire capitalism is the best of all worlds. Socialist societies are democratic absolute monarchy that are open to seizure of power by all comers, any ruthless climber, opportunist, adventurer, demagogue, or thug. Rand warns that the apotheosis of socialism is the cutting out of a healthy man's eyes to give a blind person the power of sight. After all, if everything is community property, even one's own eyeballs would not be safe. Yet the only ruthless climber, opportunist, or demagogue that I see is Ayn Rand. Like any malignant narcissist, she reveals much more about herself in what she writes than what she is trying to convey. Her goal was never to create a better society. Ayn Rand hates society. Her goal was to create a justification for the status quo. This fancy new philosophy that Rand worked so hard developing was only ever about creating a place in the world for Ayn Rand. Case in point, Nathaniel Branden, who wrote 5 chapters in this book, gets almost no credit. Since when is contributing 5 chapters out of 19 not co-authorship? Instead, we get a cryptic note at the end of the introduction that tells us that despite contributing to large portions of this book and the objectivist philosophy, Branden is no longer associated with me, my philosophy, or The Objectivist, formerly the Objectivist newsletter. What we have here is a fancy doctrine that says that the people at the top deserve to be there. The point of objectivism isn't to rattle cages and freak out squares. It is about justifying the existing class structure. Rand knew that if she found a way to help rich people sleep better at night, she would be rewarded with her own creature comforts. Being a good objectivist, Rand was concerned only with herself and her own problems. Rand was a selfish asshole. Objectivism is a classic case of putting the cart before the horse. Rand starts with her conclusion and works her way back. The point of objectivism is to reward selfishness and self-centeredness. Rich people don't just want to have all the money and power, they also want to be loved. The Western religious tradition, based in large part on Christ's message of self-sacrifice, has always made rich people feel bad about being rich. Ayn Rand saw an opportunity to ditch that old philosophy for something fresh that said, actually, no, rich people are great. They are the best of us because they are the culmination of this new morality that says you should put yourself first. Rand seeks to take the economic arguments of the Austrian school and Milton Friedman's neoliberalism to their logical conclusion. She seeks to flatter capitalist society's winners and tell them that they deserve everything that they can hoard. This philosophy, like neoclassical economics, is based first on property rights. Without property rights, no other rights are possible. Rand's vision of a utopian ideal is a place where taxation, payment for government, she clarifies, would be strictly voluntary. Good luck building a military with that. But the philosophy that Rand concocts is nothing new. This is, in fact, the oldest philosophy in existence. It's so old that it's not even really a philosophy at all. It's called the law of the jungle. Might makes right. Bigger is better. It's a slight twist on social Darwinism that says those at the top of the social food chain belong there because they are the biggest, best, and meanest. To the victor go the spoils. There's nothing original or new about this idea. Mankind is a social animal. There's a reason that the United Nations consider solitary confinement torture. People need others. There is truth to John Donne's sentiment that no man is an island. Society only exists because people work together. The people who decide to lone wolf it end up like Christopher McCandless, lonely, cut off, miserable, and dead. Like it or not, we need each other. I think it's telling that Rand's worldview resonates with so many teenagers. In this self-centered worldview, everyone is out to get you, so you need to fight hard just to survive. A lot of teens feel this way. It is also telling that Rand died without ever having had children. In my own experience, having children made me grow beyond any selfish worldview I might have had as a young person. A baby is not going to wait for you to deal with your own personal headspace before you cope with their needs. Taking care of a family shakes a person out of their me-first attitude really quick and helps them see that there's more to life than one's own neuroses. Human beings need each other. There's a reason that the world's great religions emphasize this. We need to take care of one another if we're going to survive. Putting oneself first, emphasizing the worst aspects of human nature, is no way to propagate the species. It's no way to build a society. It's no way to live your life. Please do yourself a favor and let Ayn Rand go fuck herself.